Adaptive radiation. What is this adaptive radiation? You know well the Charles Darwin who went on a voyage for 5 years on survey ship by name HMS Beagle. On his voyage he visited to explore the flora and fauna of different islands. On his voyage, in these 5 years, he visited the Galapagos Islands, which are just 1000 kilometers from the South America. These are the group of islands in Pacific Ocean, guys. Galapagos Islands are generally referred to as biologist's paradise or the living laboratories. When the Darwin stepped onto this Galapagos Island, he observed varieties of birds. In the case of small black birds, he observed different varieties in the same island. And based on this, he conjectured, he came to an opinion based on the information, incomplete information available over there, and he come to know, yes, evolution had happened. Because if you are remembering, we discussed in the previous topic saying that in the mid of the 19th century, actually, it strongly opposed the theory of special creation. The species are not created as such. No, they are not having the diversity. They are same as from the beginning, even in the future also, no. So, it strongly opposed after these observations. He observed the small blackbirds, later they are familiarly called as Darwin finches. You are observing in the case of the figure there, in that picture, you can observe that birds differing in the size and the shape of the beak. He come to conclusion saying that based on his observation, the seed-eating birds had evolved into the case of the insectivorous and the vegetarian finches. Actually, in order to based on the mode of feeding, because as this Galapagos Islands is a group of islands, in different island, one is differing from the case of other. When he observed, based on the food available over there, the birds had modified in their shape and size of the beak in order to procure the food. So, these birds are very familiar, the Darwin finches, which laid the foundation as a basis for the natural selection theory or Darwinism. And moving on to the case of here, adaptive radiation. What is adaptive radiation? In the next picture, after these birds in the next picture, you can see that before going to observe and discuss about that picture, let's have a definition. What is adaptive radiation? The process of evolution of different species in a geographical area. The process of evolution of different species in a geographical area, starting at one point, it's starting at the case of one point, literally radiating to the case of different geography habitats. So, when they started at one point and when they moved to the case of different habitats, different places, they got evolved, modified into different species. That one which you can observe in that picture, that is good example for this adaptive radiation, and these are all the previous NEET questions, guys, very, very important these areas. And this, the marsupial mammals which you are observing, whose evolution had taken place in Australia, is a good example for the case of this adaptive radiation. You are observing from the ancestral stock, they showed in a circle, from which different marsupials had evolved. Australia is called as land of marsupials. And let's see what are the marsupials are evolved, a few ones. Let's have a glance look on this. From that ancestral stock, you can see the Tasmanian wolf, marsupial rat, even the case of this numbert and wombat, and the next one is, if you even can see the koala bear and kangaroo and the sugar glider. These are different ones you can come across, the case of even the Tasmanian cat. So, these are all the ones you can see that evolved from an ancestral stock. And kangaroos are seen, they are unique to the case of Australia alone. The national animal of Australia itself, the kangaroo. And I am concluding this point saying that from the ancestral stock, it's from the central point, from that ancestral stock, it is radiated to form a different species, guys. So, it's a good example for adaptive radiation. If more than 2 adaptive radiations takes place in a same geographical area, it's called as convergent evolution. To justify this convergent evolution, guys, let's discuss about this convergent evolution. What is this money here? Convergent evolution is, again I'm saying, more than 2 adaptive radiations in a same geographical area. If you consider Australia as a good example here, already we discussed the evolution of marsupials. Moving on to the next picture, where in the next picture you can see that the combination of two, one side the marsupials and other side the placental mammals you can come across there. Here it is. So if you discuss about that, so you are observing, you see that wolf is Tasmanian wolf, Tasmanian wolf, anteater the numbered, which is also an anteater, and the rat and the marsupial rat and the rat. And even you can come across the case of this flying squirrel and the flying phalanger. And the case of the next one is here the Tasmanian cat, here in the case of the Tasmanian cat, and this here the Tasmanian tiger cat. So these are the different ones, marsupial mole and normal mole. So you can see the different pictures. So why I am specifying particularly in the case of here, the marsupial mammals and the placental mammals are resembling with one another. So both evolution, even if you consider the placental mammals also, is a good example for adaptive radiation. And as both had happened in the same geographical area in Australia, we are giving it as an example of convergent evolution. I hope you understood my words. I hope there is a chance of asking the question, okay, numbered is compared with what? Even one other example also you can see, lemur. Lemur is a placental mammal, where it is a spotted cuscus. Like this, they can ask you the questions. There is a probability in the NEET.